Welcome to the Worshipped Woman podcast. I am your host, Kelly Kristen. I am a life and relationship coach, deep healing facilitator, and subconscious change expert. On this podcast, we will dive deep into personal growth, transformation, and relationships, releasing patterns of toxicity, codependency, and people-pleasing as we explore what it means to be the worshipped woman. If you are ready to heal, embody your worth, and raise your standards in life and love, you are in the right place. I am so happy to have you here. Now, let's get started. Hello, sisters. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so very grateful that you are here, and I am so excited to get into today's episode. You know, I think that self-love is something that we hear all of the time, right? Self-love, you have to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, then people won't love you. If you don't love yourself, then all this kind of stuff, right? And so we want to love ourselves, but it's not the easiest thing to do, right? And I want to actually explain to you a process that you can start doing in your life to get to a place where you don't have to try so hard to love yourself. You actually do. Because as I said in the last episode, introducing the worshipped woman, my goal is to get to a place of self-worship and get to a place for you where you self-worship yourself. You honor yourself. You treat yourself with the respect of a goddess, right? But you don't get that automatically. There's a process to get there. And before self-worship has to come self-love, because if you don't love for yourself and care about yourself, well, then it's going to be really hard to worship yourself, right? But what actually comes prior to self-love? And why is it so hard to actually be a person that loves themselves? And these are topics that I explore a lot in my own life, a lot in my clients, because it's part of the human experience, I think, where, you know, I say this a lot. I was just talking about this in my group program the other day, how we absolutely come to this world as babies. Like, think about a baby. Automatically, you just want to love that baby. You see a baby and you're just like, oh, that baby's so cute. And you know automatically that baby doesn't have to do anything, but that baby deserves love, deserves care, deserves everything that you could possibly give to that baby. And you are that same baby, but somewhere along the way, we pick up experiences, we form beliefs that get us away from that get us away from our true being. And so healing, in a way, is really just remembering who you were before all of the things that happened in your life that told you were anything but beautiful, lovable, worthy, and amazing. That's what healing is. But how do we actually get to that place? And the place that I start, and the place that I think we need to start, is with understanding. Because when we don't understand ourselves, our actions, why, we might be in toxic relationships, why it is that we struggle to make decisions, why it is that we are the way we are. We don't understand why. And then we approach our life from like this idea of, oh, I shouldn't be this way. I shouldn't be this way. And then we shame ourselves, blame ourselves, put all of these ideas into our head about why we shouldn't be this way or shouldn't be that way, and get to a place really almost of like hating ourselves, right? Like, I don't like that I do this. I don't like that I do that. We have all of these things that we don't like about ourselves. And if you're listening to this, I really want you to pause and think, like, how much easier is it for you to list off all of the things that you do wrong or that you don't like about yourself than it is to talk about how amazing you are? It's easier because of conditioning. But we have to start looking there, because to get to a place of loving yourself, well, you can't be fighting yourself all the time, right? So we have to start a new way. And that new way is actually digging within yourself to understand why you are the way that you are. Because given the right context, everything that you do makes sense. We are biologically, physiologically, neurologically wired for survival. So consciously, you are not even aware of all of the processes that are going inside of your mind, your body, your nervous system that are keeping you safe. And it doesn't mean that it actually might not be keeping you so safe, but to your mind, to your body, to what's actually happening in your system, safety is familiarity. So if we can start there knowing that, we start understanding and seeing the patterns that we have in our lives and seeing these things as, okay, well, there's something within me that thinks that this is safe. Why is that? Because once we understand, right? Once you understand yourself and you start to see that your behaviors make sense, well, you don't have to blame yourself anymore. You don't have to berate yourself. You can actually just look at yourself as a human that is trying to survive, that is literally doing the best that you can in your life, given the tools, the experiences, given everything that you have in this moment. Of course, once you know better, you can do better, but you can't look to the past and say, well, this is what I know now and I should have done that back then. That doesn't work. That's just more self-shaming, self-blame. But when you can look at your life almost like zoom out and become an observer of yourself, become an observer of your actions. And you start to see the patterns and you start to make some linkages of what's really going on. And you say, wow, I actually really am just doing the best that I can. Okay. Once you do that, you can get to a place of self-acceptance, right? So first is self-understanding. Next is self-acceptance. You can get to a place where you accept, I'm just a human doing the best that I can with everything that I have, everything that's going on in the world. Once you get to a place that you accept, okay, this is who I've been, and now I'm taking responsibility for myself. Well, self-acceptance is that bridge to self-love, because once you accept yourself, you can look at yourself with new eyes in a new way and with a new sense of compassion for yourself. The same compassion that you probably so easily give to other people, right? You know, I do work with obviously a lot of women that have been through toxic relationship cycles. I see this pattern so much. These women are so loving, they have so much love to give, and they are so forgiving to everybody in their life but themselves, right? Everybody else can make mistakes. Everybody else you give a pass to. Everybody else has a reason, and you try to find that reason and you try to justify and rationalize their behavior. But when it comes to yourself, you are not a nice person anymore. It's a pattern that I see all too often. That deep inner critic that tells you that, oh, again, you shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing this. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? And just berating yourself all of the time. But that doesn't get you to a place of self-love, right? We have to accept. You have to accept yourself as you are. Accept who you have been. Well, once you can see yourself in those new eyes, you start practicing compassion for yourself. Well, now all of a sudden, you open yourself up to a place where you can forgive yourself. It's really hard to forgive if you don't understand where the behaviors came from. You forgive yourself. Ooh, you have that compassion for yourself. That's powerful stuff right there. Then self-love is a byproduct of that. You actually don't have to try so hard to love yourself because, oh my gosh, the relief that you get once you understand and see yourself from this new level, you automatically see yourself as somebody worthy of love. Somebody that deserves to be treated well. Somebody that deserves to be cared for. Just like that baby that we were talking about in the beginning of this episode. Automatically deserves love. Automatically deserves to have their needs met. Automatically deserves to have whatever they want. You come to that place through this process. And so the act of self-worship is really the action of self-love. So if self-love is a state of being, self-worships is the actions that you take to reflect your own love that you have for yourself. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen one day you wake up and say, okay, I think I'm ready to worship myself. I mean, yes, you can start little actions that feel like that. But when you do the work to get to this place of understanding, acceptance, forgiveness, self-love comes to you, and self-worship is that automatic next step because you start treating you like somebody that you love and care for. And this is the process that will absolutely change your entire life. And so where do you start? Well, you start looking at the places where you blame yourself. You start looking at the places where you feel shame. You start looking at the places where you say, I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't be this way, or I should. All of those shoulds and all of those things that don't belong anywhere in your life. You start there and you seek to understand. And that is what will set you on the path. Now, this is largely, if you are somebody who has been in toxic relationships, this is really the process that I am taking the women through in the Toxic Relationship Recovery Group program, Heal, Rise, Thrive. We have been having such a good time in that program, only a few weeks in, and just the breakthroughs and the understandings and chipping away at that shame that toxic relationships can make you feel is so powerful because I start the process with understanding. I start the process with getting to a level of deep understanding so that you can go, wow, I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. Actually, this all makes sense. It's such a comforting place to be. And then we can do the work to build you up into somebody new. Now, if you are a woman who has been in a toxic relationship and you want to be in the next round of Toxic Relationship Recovery Program, Heal, Rise, Thrive, I have opened the wait list. I didn't know that I was going to run this group again when I started this past one, but I have just been pouring into these women and it has just been really, really impactful. So I will be doing another round. It will probably start in late April. If you want to get on the wait list for that, you can send me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at Miss MS Kelly Kristen. You can also find me at Worshipped Woman. And that is going to be it for me today. If you loved this episode, please let me know. Take a screenshot. Tag me on IG stories. Let me know that you're listening. Share it with another sister that needs to hear this. I would be so, so grateful. And if you could take the time to give me a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, that would be so very greatly appreciated. I hope that you have a beautiful day. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.